everyone. It's time for what I think is the very last part of the Dwarfie Stane. Let me just put the guitar over here. Okay, where did we get up to the last part of the Dwarfie Stane? The Dowager Queen had gone to Snorro. Snorro had prepared the poisonous fabric. The Dowager Queen, wearing the special gloves, had formed it into a beautiful jacket. More like a waistcoat, which is kind of like a jacket but without sleeves. Okay, often you wear that under a jacket. If you're wearing a suit or something like that, you wear the jacket and trousers, and underneath is the waistcoat. It was a waistcoat, basically. And she was holding it up and admiring it as she was making it. But before I tell this part of the story, I want you to make a prediction to yourself of what you think is going to happen at the end of the story. Okay, you can stop the video right here and have a little think. Stroke your thinking beard. What could happen? What's going to happen to Lady Morna? Paul the Silent? Harold the Bragger? The Queen, the Queen Mother? The Frau Kirk? Countess Frau Kirk, what's going to happen to her? And Snorro, what's going to happen to him? Make a prediction. See if, how about stop the film here and have a think about that. See what you think is going to happen. And then watch the rest of it and see if you were right. It doesn't matter if you're not right. There's lots of ways the story could end, right? In fact, it ends a different way every time I tell it, so there you go. Paul and Lady Morna decided it was time to tell Harold. They could hide it no longer. They approached him in the long corridor of the castle. Brother, yes, there's something we must tell you. And he was holding his hand in hand with Lady Morna. When Harold saw this, fury came to his eyes. They almost glowed red with rage. Steam almost came out of his ears. He couldn't believe it. You don't need to tell me. I can see it plainly with my own eyes, he says. Morna, you have deceived me. But at the same time, she was thinking, well, who's deceiving who here? You gave me that tried to give me that potion, right? And off he fled, and he ran upstairs in a huge rage to his mother's room at the top of the tallest tower of the castle. Up and up and up he ran all the way to the top, and he burst the door open and he ran in, and there was his mother holding up the most beautiful waistcoat he had ever seen in his whole life. Mother! And what? Why are you making a beautiful waistcoat? Let me try it on immediately. And he reached forward as if to grab for it. No, and she said, and she couldn't say why, but she just said, you can't have this, it's not for you. Not for me? Who can it possibly be for then, if not for me? And she said, it's for Paul. And at this, his rage knew no bounds. He was so angry. Paul gets everything. Paul and Lady Morna. Paul gets the waistcoat. I will not have it. I will not have it that Paul should get everything. And he reached forward, and before his mother could take the waistcoat away, he grabbed that waistcoat and he tried it on, and he wore the waistcoat, and he walked. I will have this. If I can't have a Lady Morna to my wife, at least I will have this beautiful waistcoat. And then the magic that was within this waistcoat took over. Paul looked towards his mother. She looked at him. Her arms went out, but she dare not touch him because he was wearing the waistcoat. And he fell to the ground. Just at that point, Paul, who had been running after him the whole time, he came bursting into the room to see Harold lying on the floor. Harold, Harold, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And he looked up at Harold's mother, and she just looked at him with frightened eyes and sadness. What's wrong? What's wrong with you? And Harold looked up at Paul, and he pointed to his own mother, and he said, beware, beware. That means like, look out, beware, beware. And with that, sadly, this is the sad part in the story, Harold was no more. He passed away on the floor. Paul looked up. The Dowager Queen knew what Harold had said, beware. She jumped up from the table, fled from the room, ran down the stairs where, on the steps, she met the Countess Fraukirk. Run, she said, run, we must run from this place. They ran out of the castle, they went down to their ship, and off they sailed. Now, some say they sailed for the Scottish mainland. Some say they sailed east for Norway. Some say they went west to Iceland and further beyond Greenland. All that is known, nothing was ever seen again of Dowager Queen or the Countess Fraukirk. Paul chased them. He had his soldiers run after them and chase them. They got away. Paul looked at Harold. He looked at the waistcoat. He saw no sign of any wound on him, and he knew something must be in this waistcoat. And if something was in that waistcoat, something magical and bad, there's only one person on the islands of Orkney responsible for that. Who was that? That's right, Snorro the dwarf. And Paul and Morna, they left the castle, they jumped on their horses, they rowed as fast as they could to the shore, they got on their boats and they sailed across. Snorro from his doorway saw them coming. He knew it was Paul's ship. Why would Paul be coming? Paul should have worn the waistcoat. Something has gone terribly wrong. Paul jumped off his ship, got on his horse, rode as fast as he could all the way up to the Dwarfie Stane. He did not bother calling or saying come out or anything like that. He just jumped from his horse and he ran down past that little stone that's outside the Dwarfie Stane that you can see right there. And he ran into the doorway inside the Stane and he was looking around. The book was gone. The big book, gone. The crow was gone. Even Snorro himself had vanished. Many of his possessions, his things were still there. His bedding, food, various bits and pieces that he had were still inside the Dwarfie Stane. But of Snorro, who had been there since before the oldest person on Orkney could remember, he was gone. He was never seen again. Some say that he went out and just by pure chance, Wart Hill opened up and there he saw the magical carbuncle and he went in and the hill closed behind him. And there he remains to this day inside Wart Hill, which you can see if you ever go there. You'll see the hill. No sign of the opening or Snorro. Some say he actually turned also into the form of a crow. Some people believe that the crow was also a human like Snorro, but in crow form, and they could turn into human and crow form, and he turned into a crow, and they both just flew away on the wind, never to be seen again. Whatever happened to Snorro, nobody knows. Poor Harold. He was a jealous type and he came to a bad end, but not really through his own fault, was it? Paul and Lady Morna, they waited a while, and when everything had kind of settled down, they married. And he became king of the Orkneys, and she was the queen. And they went on to live happily ever after. Now I wonder, was that how you thought the story was going to end? Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story of the Dwarfie Stane, and I hope I get a chance to tell you another story at another time, okay? Bye bye now.